welcome back on the mat. So find a seated position that's comfortable, sitting up nice and tall. Feel that you've got length in the abdomen, a bit of a lift in the sternum. That'll automatically give you length in your spine. And as you get into this nice upright lengthened position, simply start to turn your gaze into a soft gaze, sort of looking past the tip of your nose. And the soft gaze, just being aware of sounds around you. We'll be taking the focus inwards soon. And then begin to close your eyes. Now as you close your eyes, start to focus on the movement in your body. The rise and the fall in the chest or the abdomen. Just feeling the breath moving in and out. Take charge of your breath by deepening the inhales and exhales. Ujjayi breathing comes in handy. So if you wish to start with your Ujjayi pranayama, create that ocean-like sound in the back of your throat. If that's not for you, then at least aim to keep the breath consistent throughout the practice, equalizing the inhales and exhales. Now that you've got your consistent breathing pattern, you can slowly open your eyes. Let's get the feet out in front, slightly wider than shoulder distance really. Placing hands behind the back for support, you can drop the knees over to the one side, bring it back up and take it to the opposite side. Just a bit of external and then internal rotation for the hip joints. Moving around. And we'll take it straight to a balancing exercise. So as you make your way back up to center, reach along the insides of the legs, find the heels. Now as you grip hold onto the heels, rock back onto the sit bones and get into the form of an upright, happy baby shape. So we part the knees, you've got the arms nice and straight, and you're pulling onto the feet in order to get length in your spine. Should you lose your balance, simply just get back into the posture. But think about lifting in the sternum and a slight lift in the chin, turning your gaze upwards. Now, bring the feet closer together as you bend the knees. Don't let the feet touch the mat quite yet. Bring your knees together. So as you bring knees together, squeeze your knees into your chest and bring your arms out in front. Notice how I flex the feet, pulling the toes closer to the shins. Still keeping length in your spine. Now grip hold to the outsides of the feet. Lift your feet so you get them in line with your knees. Keep creating length in your back, turning the gaze slightly up, and we hold this position. Creating a bit of compression really, you're pulling knees in towards the body, pulling the body into the knees. And now, as you lower the feet, let go. Let's make our way into a downward facing dog. As you step back, Always good to make sure the down dog's not too short by maybe just lowering the hips into a plank. And then you can take it up. If you need to modify your down dog slightly, do so. But this is generally speaking the shape or the length of your down dog. And you just find or maintain that consistent breathing. For a second, take your awareness to the shoulder blades. If it feels as if there's no activation in the shoulders, then what you could do is draw the shoulders away from the ears slightly and externally rotating the shoulders. Think about wrapping your arms around a gym ball. It's just going to create more space between your shoulder blades. Now bend into knees, look up. In breath, position feet in between hands. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, take arms to ceiling. Exhale, mountain pose. Inhale, arms to ceiling. Parangustasana. Exhale, forward bend. It's called Uttanasana. In breath, halfway lift or Ardha Uttanasana. Plant your hands on exhale, step or jump back. Lower all the way down to Chaturanga Dandasana. And if it's too challenging, do knees, chest, chin. In breath into upward facing dog or cobra, and exhale into a downward facing dog. So you can always place knees to mat if Chaturanga Dandasana is a bit too much. That same activation in the back, upper back or between the shoulder blades, to be precise. If you have a lot of flexibility in your shoulders, you might find that you're collapsing down closer to the mat. Then you might want to lift in the ribs a little bit to keep length. Bend into knees, look up, in breath. Feet in between hands, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, arms to ceiling. Exhale, mountain pose. We link breath and movement. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward bend, head to shins. Keep length in your back. Inhale, halfway lift. Planting your hands on exhale, step it back or jump back. Move through your vinyasas. So Chaturanga Dandasana on the exhale. In breath into upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Feel the involvement of the core. There's a subtle lift from the base of the spine. This is what we aim to maintain throughout the practice. It's that bit of stability in the lower pelvic floor. Inhale, lower your hips into an upward facing dog shape. And this time around, place your knees on the mat. Keep shoulders away from ears. Bend your knees. Get your feet to touch. Knees can be hip distance. And just actively pull with your feet closer to your head. To complete the posture, you can look up and breathe. Exhale. Bring your toes down, tuck, lifting back into a plank. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, come back up into plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bending into knees, look up. Inhale, feet in between hands. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. In breath, bend into knees, keep the palms flat on the mat. Get your ribcage onto the quads. And get onto the fingertips and walk your ribcage further along the legs. And bring your hands back down onto the mat. Now with the arms being straight, start to bring the hips down a little bit more. Maybe you can get the hips in line with the knees. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Actively pull with the fists away from the body and start to pull the hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release hands onto mat. Inhale, lift your feet off the mat. Exhale, take it back and lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, step right foot between hands. Inhale, take arms up into a high lunge, but get your palms to meet and look up past your thumbs. Exhale, take your arms back, bring your chest forwards close to the front knee. We get the upper body in line with the back leg. And I'll take your arms back up, palms to meet. Exhale, bring your hands down. Step back, plank to Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, knee to chest and place foot between hands. Inhale, arms go up, palms to meet. Exhale, swing the arms back, bring your chest forward. Consistent breathing. Inhale, taking arms back up to ceiling, palms to meet. Exhale, bring hands down. Step back, plank to Chaturanga. In breath, upward facing dog. Exhale to a down dog. Inhale, lower your hips into a plank position. And we'll first be shifting weight over to the left side. So angle your feet, weight onto the left hand. Take your right arm up. Bit of a static hold. Keep the hips up. Engagement in the core. Exhale, bring the right hand down. Angle feet as you shift weight to the right hand. Left hand goes up. Focal point past the top hand. Using an exhale to bring your hand back down. And this is where we want to do 5 slow and controlled push-ups. If you need to place knees to mat, do so. Otherwise, exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. In breath up. Exhale down. Inhale up. We've got 2 to go. Exhale down. In breath up, last one. Exhale down. Inhale. Back up. Place your knees onto the mat. Sit back into a child's pose. Slowly make your way back up. So not the most conventional approach in terms of where we're doing our headstand today, which is more in the middle of the class. But if you don't want to do full headstand, just don't lift your feet off the mat. You can always lift one leg to get the idea, bring it down and switch legs. If you're going to join me for headstand, a full headstand, grip hold of the triceps and then interlace your fingers. Hands form a bit of a cup and the head will be placed right up against the hands. Straighten the legs, walk your feet in. You can stay in this position. If you want to take it further, take your legs up and breathe. You just use enough energy to keep the body in this upside down position, but feel that you push into your elbows and out of your shoulders. You focus on one spot. Your breathing is controlled. If at any stage you feel the need to come down, you'll take one leg down at a time or both legs down, and you can just wait in a child's pose. Using your exhalation to lower it down. As your feet get down onto the mat, sit back into your child's pose, taking a breather. And then as you make your way back up, we'll be placing forearms onto the mat below the shoulders. We're getting into a bit of a low plank, so straighten your legs. As you straighten, holding this position. Now we'll be using the feet to push the shoulders past the elbows towards the hands, and then pushing into the heels, shifting weight back. So weight back and forth. Just keep your breath deep and slow. Keep activation in your core because you don't want to dip the hips down. You want to keep length in your lower back. 2 more. Last one. Shift weight back. Bring your knees down. Position hands onto the mat for downward facing dog. It's quite nice to add a little shoulder strengthening sequence in after the headstand because usually the shoulders burn out from holding a headstand. Now bending into both knees, look up. Inhale, get feet in between hands. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, take arms up. Exhale, mountain pose. Part your feet, hip distance, hands onto waist. Inhale, get length in your spine, lift in the chest. Exhale, forward bend, but still grip the big toes. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Crown of the head down, shoulders pulling towards the waist, elbows flaring. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands below the feet as you exhale into your second forward bend here.
Stepping on the feet, on the hands at least. Shoulders pulling away from ears. No tension in the head. It's called Parangustasana. First one was Parangustasana. Slight bend into the knees, releasing the hands on an inhale. Exhale, hands onto the waist. Inhale, make your way back up into a standing position. Keep your feet hip distance. Place your hands onto your back. Fingers can point down. As you push your hands into the low back, you sort of manually do a posterior tilt in the pelvis. Feel with the fingertips that you get a bit of engagement in the glutes. So first relax, feel that the glutes are relaxed. Now do a bit of a tilt, lift from the base of the spine, feel a bit of activation in the glutes. Pull the shoulders back, keep chin close to chest, lift your sternum up to ceiling. And if you feel comfortable in this position, you can take your head back. Slowly make your way back up into a neutral position. Arms alongside the body. You can heel toe the feet back together. As we stay in this upright position, use an inhale to get both arms up. Kali Mudra with the hands, so pistol grip. Just got the index fingers pointing out. All the other fingers are interlaced. We'll keep the left leg on the mat first. So take a full deep inhale to lengthen, pulling shoulders closer to ears, and with an exhale, swing the right leg back, making your way into Virabhadrasana 3 pose. Right hip in line with the left hip. You can look down to the floor. If you want to look past the thumbs, you can. If you lose your balance, like me, just get back into the posture. Doesn't matter. You do what you can. Inhale, come all the way up. Arms go up. Right foot next to the left. Exhale, swing the left leg back. Virabhadrasana 3. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, bring your arms down. Inhale, arms go back up. Exhale, swan dive, head to shins. Inhalation, halfway lift. Planting your hands, exhale. Step or jump back. Do your vinyasa, Chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale to a down dog. And I'll raise your right leg. Exhale, step right foot between hands. Angle your back foot. Walk both hands to the left side of the mat and then off the mat, reaching with the fingertips to the left side of the studio or room, the right knee pulling away from your hands. And we'll take it a step further. You're going to look towards the back foot and walk the hands towards the back foot. Doesn't mean you have to touch. You're just stretching in that direction. Now walk your hands back. As you bring the hands to the front of the mat, place the palms down, lift the back heels, step back. Vinyasa, exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, foot in between hands. Pivot back foot. Both hands to the right side of the mat. And you start to walk the hands away from your shoulder or from the shoulders. Left knee away from the hands. So we simply just avoid tilting the left knee in towards the midline. And to take it that step further, you look towards the back foot, walking the hands in that direction. Walk your hands back. As you get the palms flat on the mat, lift the back heel, stepping it back into plank, which is where we will hold it. Steady plank. You can even look up if you want to change it up a little bit. Otherwise, gaze right down to the mat, keeping length in your neck. Feel the stability in the shoulders, engagement in your core, and the breath carrying you through a static hold. And slowly bring your knees down onto the mat and in this all fours position. Do a very laid back sort of stretch. Right hand stays on the mat. Left shoulder comes down as you thread the arm through. Simply take the top arm around the body. See if you can find your left inner thigh. Keep the hips as square as possible. Release the right hand back onto the mat, push yourself up. Position left hand below the shoulder. Right arm goes through and you place side of the head onto the mat. Left arm goes around, finding inner thigh perhaps, and holding. Even, consistent breathing. Exhale, release the left hand back down, pushing yourself back up into this all fours position. To get into the forearms, turn your hands, fingers to point to the back of the mat. If it's too intense, slide your hands closer to your knees. If not, straighten your legs into a plank. If that's not giving you enough of a stretch, bend into the elbows and come down for Chaturanga shape. Sort of strengthening the wrists and the forearms a little bit. If you aren't Chaturanga, you can push back up into plank first, and then bring knees down, and then turn your hands back into a normal down dog shape. Tuck your toes, taking the hips up from a down dog. We want to get into seated, so bend to knees, look up, then step or jump. Seated position. As you get into seated, we'll take the legs nice and wide. See if you can touch the outsides of the feet with the hands, and then you can bring the hands back onto the waist really, or the upper legs. Actively push your thighs away from the front of the mat. So you sort of roll the thighs back. Look at your feet, make sure the toes are pointing up. Activate the legs as much as possible, and then start to hinge into the hips, bringing your chin and chest forwards. Now that you feel that you've got activation in the quads, you can bring the hands out in front. If you collapse down onto the mat, just don't go soft in the legs. Keep length in your back. Keep activation through your legs, and hold. I prefer to stay in a more upright position, not just for better demonstration, but I feel as if the stretch is just more effective. I get to work the legs nicely when I keep the chest slightly off the floor. It might not be the same in your body. Maybe you're in a more upright position. That's also fine. Use your inhale to make your way back up. Now bring the soles of the feet together to that Parangustasana shape, but we keep space between the heels and the body, and you can simply move your knees up and down. So a very laid back approach, getting into the hips. Now, place your left hand, you can stop moving the legs, place your left hand behind your body for support. Right hand onto the right knee, actively push the right knee down. But as you push right knee down, you use your leg muscles in the left leg to keep the left knee down as much as possible. And now keep the right leg down, place right hand behind the body, adjust the left knee down. We're sort of opening up in this posture as much as possible. Now bring the left hand behind the back, keep both knees down and use your leg muscles to actively pull down towards the floor. Slowly release by bringing the knees back together. Straighten your legs out in front. We'll be pistol gripping the big toes, but when we do Paschimottanasana A pose, which is what we'll be doing, be careful not to tilt the feet in. So push through the big toes as you grip hold. Curl the toes away from your body, and that's going to allow you to actively move a little bit deep into the forward bend. So keep length in your back. Pistol grip, if it's too difficult to pistol grip, bend into your knees and grip the toes. Then you'll simply keep a bend in the knees. Holding this position, the breath is even. Forward bend is a calming posture, so you want to feel that the system is slowing down, preparing for corpse pose. Breath is deep, slow and controlled. Using the inhale to lengthen. And now we'll keep the left leg stretched out, but the right leg you bend and you pull to the back of the mat. Keep your hands on the big toes. Straighten the right leg, place it back onto the mat. Actively pull with the left leg to the back of the mat. Bring the left leg back out in front. Release the big toes. And sitting up. So Dandasana or staff pose. You can place your hands more or less in line with the pelvis. For some you might want to place the hands slightly behind depending on how long the arms are in relation to the torso. Now shoulders are drawn down. Tuck your chin. Pull the chin into your chest as if you want to grip hold of your shirt. Just keep length in your spine with your head down. You know, lifting your head. Now we're going to relax down onto the mat. So as you curl down, you'll straighten your legs, but also take your arms over your head. Just extend, reach and lengthen. Reach to the back wall with the fingers, to the front wall with the toes, and then lastly just tuck your pelvis slightly to keep length in your lower back. Feel the abdomen working to maintain the shape, and then go soft. You can bring your arms alongside the body. It's time for corpse pose. So for the first time in the practice, allow the breath to be natural. But just allow the body to cool down to its natural state and simply just enjoy your corpse pose.